to No Place Like Home, the radio show, coming to you on WRXB 1590 AM and Pinellas County Connection TV. This program is presented to you as an opportunity to hear information that can help you fulfill the dream of owning your very own home. We also share information about upcoming special events and programs to help you enjoy the good life in Pinellas County, as well as other items of interest. The sponsor of this program is the Housing Finance Authority of Pinellas County, which offers the first-time homebuyer program, your key to home ownership, helping people in Pinellas, Pasco, and Polk counties make their dreams of home ownership a reality. I'm Carmen Lemberg alongside Jane Merlin, your host for today's show. How are you doing today, Jane?
I'm doing well, and I hope you are too.
I am, thanks.
You know, we've got a really interesting show coming up, and there is quite a lot of interesting things on our table today that we're going to be talking about. Unfortunately, we can't take these wonderful items home with us today, but we're going to talk about them because these are things that if you attend our guests' presentations, you might be able to take home with you, and they might save you some money.
And that is really important. I have some of these items, and I really like them, so I'm glad to tell people about them.
Yes, definitely stay tuned so you can find out how you can get some of these and start saving some money in your own home and do something good for the environment at the same time.
Exactly.
But before we get into our topic of energy awareness, we've got a message from our sponsor, Carmen, and I know you've got that for us.
Thanks, Jane. The Housing Finance Authority of Pinellas County is offering the first-time homebuyer program, your key to home ownership, helping people in Pinellas, Pasco, and Polk counties make their dream of home ownership a reality. The first-time homebuyers program is for individuals who have never owned a home, have not owned a home in the last 3 years, or veterans. The HFA offers a low rate on its 30-year fixed-rate mortgage, and if you need a little assistance with down payment and closing costs, we can help with that also. The HFA's Home for the Holidays promotion is underway, and that means there may be time to enjoy a new home this holiday season. Contact one of our lenders today and get all the details. Our website is www.pinellascounty.org/HFA as in Housing Finance Authority for details on our program and the list of participating lenders. For more information or comments about the show, please call us at 727-223-6419 or email newhome@pinellashfa.com. Jane?
Thank you, Carmen, and I'm real excited to hear that here we are in October, and you might be able to help people get into a new home before the holidays. That's amazing.
Oh, this is one of my favorite programs that we kick off every year, and we've had a lot of success with it. And we've been able to get people in their homes. So it's really exciting to think. I can't believe it's here already again.
I can't believe we just said that we're talking about holidays already. Well, today we are highlighting that October is Energy Awareness Month. And joining us is a returning guest to No Place Like Home. Ramona Madhosingh-Hector is a regional specialized agent at the Urban Sustainability Center located at the University of Florida's Extension Office in Pinellas. She develops educational programs that support and advance the county's commitment to sustainability. She currently manages a community energy program as well as a sustainable series for citizens. Ramona has graduate degrees in urban and regional planning from Florida State University and environmental science from Florida Agriculture and Mechanical University. Welcome back to No Place Like Home, Ramona.
Thank you, Jane. Good morning, Carmen. Thanks so much
morning.
for having me here.
Oh, it's
Our
always
pleasure.
so great to have you with us. You're just one of our favorite guests, and we appreciate you willing to come back each time we ask. But before we get into today's topic of energy awareness, and I keep calling it energy action.
That's fine.
Let's have you talk a little bit about what Extension does and how you are such a great benefit to Pinellas County residents.
Okay, so Extension is a partnership between the University of Florida and the county, which was essentially established through the land-grant colleges and universities. And in Florida, we actually have 2 universities that are designated extension providers. So we have the University of Florida, and we also have Florida A&M Mechanical University through the Second Morrill Act of the 1890. The first one was 1862, which established UF. And then we're much more fortunate, I would say, to have extension offices in all 67 counties in Florida. That's quite an accomplishment.
Wow.
And to still, to this day, continue to have them to provide services to our citizens. Last year, we celebrated our centennial anniversary of Extension. So 100 years old, 100 years of providing solutions for your life, which is our motto here. And some of the services we provide to our residents include horticulture, which is typical, the diagnostic services, vegetable classes, gardening, rainwater harvesting, energy, sustainability classes. We do also offer marine and natural resource education programs. And then from time to time, we offer workshops and symposiums, hydroponics, aquaponics, things like that. So we have a lot of educational programs for our citizens.
I can recommend those very highly. I've been to several of them, and I have learned so much at every single one of them.
Excellent. Thank you, Carmen.
Yeah, I have too, and they're always so interesting and very informative, and you get so much helpful information that can really help you enjoy the good life here in Pinellas County, and everything from identifying strange plants in your yards to programs about gardening and insects that are actually good for the garden that you shouldn't destroy. Yeah. So it's always something good happening at Extension.
That's
so,
right.
And I know that you have a lot of programs that people can find out about you on your website. Why don't you give the website before we get started?
Okay, so the easiest way to find out would be www.pinellascountyextension.org. We have another link, which I never remember, but that one's the easiest.
Well, very good.
Every one of the categories that we just talked about here, Jane, under each of those, you'll find a classes and events link. So you can easily click on those and find online registration information for classes related to horticulture or marine extension or sustainability.
Awesome. So we're going to get into our topic now. And I talked earlier about the fact that this is a national recognition of Energy Awareness Month. Tell us a little bit about that and how did it get started?
Okay, so this has started initially a couple of years ago. I would say 5 or 6 years ago. The president actually signs an executive order establishing October as National Energy Month. And you're absolutely correct that was Energy Awareness Month, and they moved it into Energy Action Month because it sounds as though we need to move from that stage of knowing to the stage of actually doing. So it's kind of transitioned over the years. And the goal with the president's executive order is to encourage federal facilities, if you would, to continue to adopt more sustainable practices, more sustainable operations, because we want to reduce energy costs. So it's not just the federal focus as well. I think we also need to remember that there is also local and regional. So that's why at the local level, we've adopted it as part of an opportunity to provide education and information for our citizens.
And what will Pinellas County be doing to support the national effort?
Well, this month, I'll be hosting a number of energy extension programs, if you would. I always try and do a signature event, if you would. So this year, our signature event is a 2-hour workshop at the Dunedin Community Center on October the 3rd. So just a number of classes to educate the citizens of the community, and then at various locations in the community as well.
Wonderful. What are some of the things that we can do as individuals to support Energy Action Month?
So I would recommend conducting, if you would, a personal audit. So how do you use energy? What are some of the energy behaviors that you engage in? And then also consider looking at your overall home energy usage, if you would. One of the other resources I'd like to recommend to our listeners this morning is looking at the Florida Energy Office. There is an interactive device there, if you would, web service, that you can actually identify the size of your home, the shape of your home, the living room, the bathroom, and some of the things that you're interested in upgrading or updating in your home. So that's a great resource. So that's freshfromflorida.com.
Freshfromflorida.com.
Freshfromflorida.com. Okay. So that's in addition to the federal website, which is the energy.gov.
And I took a look at the national website the other day and found it to be very interesting. There's a lot of great information, a lot of real easy, helpful tips on things that we can do, not just in the home, but in the office. And I think that's something that we forget about. You might be real energy conscious at home, but we really need to be transitioning that also to the workplace.
That's right, Jane. So we do, as a community, as a society, use a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to power our homes, like you said. I mean, our cars, driving to work, our offices, the buildings that we all occupy. And one of the reasons why this also actually came about was to remember that we need to supply a reliable energy source, if you would, and to also look at alternatives. So part of that strategy is to conserve and then to also explore additional sources of energy. So that's one of the reasons why we really focus in October on Energy Action Month, what you can do. So both at the federal level, at the local level, and we're talking about prosperity from a national perspective, security from a national perspective, as well as Jane mentioned much earlier in the program about protecting the environment.
I want to get a little bit more into the presentations that you're going to be providing. I know that you offer them at various locations throughout the county. And I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about the approach that you take when you do these presentations and what people can expect to walk away from after hearing one of your programs.
Okay. All of the classes that we offer in Energy Action Month, and typically our energy programs, tend to be an hour long, except, of course, with the exception of a special workshop or a symposium, which might be 2 or 3 hours long, because the structure is a little bit different. With the classes that we're doing for the public, what we tend to do is have slides, if you would. They are PowerPoint slides, and we also utilize a technology where we can engage with our audience, get a sense of what they're doing at home so that they can then, at the end of the program, see, well, I can make a change here. So, for instance, one of the questions we asked at the beginning of the program is, have you had a home energy audit done in the last couple of years? And if they haven't, it prompts them at the end of the program again to think, well, maybe I should have a home energy audit done. Or maybe I should examine my leaky windows and doors and things like that. Maybe I still have that spare fridge in the garage, and maybe I don't need to have that spare fridge in the garage. So that's really the approach we use, which is engaging our audience and then also equipping them with the strategies and the tips to go home and do something. And part of the presentation also involves, as we've laid out here, materials that they can actually walk away with and start doing that very same day or within a week or a month or a year. So we encourage people to plan for themselves short-term and long-term strategies that they can, take hold of for themselves.
Oh, that's incredible.
So you don't want people walking out of the class thinking they have to do all these things,
No.
Just baby steps.
Exactly. And that's one of the things when we talk about, looking at energy consumption and considering our personal energy behaviors. For instance, when you left the house this morning, did you turn the coffee pot off? Probably. But did you unplug it from the wall when you left the house? Maybe not, right? So it all depends because essentially, for instance, that coffee pot is plugged into the wall all day and it's drawing electricity, but it's not making you a cup or a pot of coffee at that point in time until you need it the next day or maybe later in the evening when you get home. So just encouraging people to rethink how they're using energy in the home because we're paying for kilowatts. So when you look at your electric and your utility bill, what you're paying for is kilowatt consumption. So if you can reduce kilowatt consumption, you reduce how much energy you're actually paying for.
Well, that gives me a lot of pause to think about some of the appliances I may have left plugged in when I left the house. Carmen, were you going to change your ways when you get back home later today?
I think I'm going to need to. I just got my electric bill.
We also want to be, I would say, reasonable about what we unplug. So we're not unplugging our washing machine and dryer. Because you can't access those new plugs. Because usually we have people come to our programs and they do think exactly like you guys just expressed about, well, I do need to go home and think about what I have plugged in. But for instance, one of my personal energy priorities is a bedside clock. I need to know the time because I need to know the time. So I'm not unplugging that when I leave the house in the morning because I need to know the time any time of the day.
I have a battery-operated one.
Energy priorities and responsible energy behaviors. So that's the way we're going to move forward with energy programs.
One step at a time.
That's right.
Well, I want to talk about some of the items that you brought with you that, as we discussed earlier, people who attend one of your programs will be able to receive this fabulous bag of items. So why don't we start with the actual bag itself?
That's right, Jane. So this is a wonderfully insulated tote bag, which has a zipper on the top, and it also has a pocket on the outside, and it has the program branding, if you would, for our energy project in Pinellas County, which is Pinellas Energy Efficiency Project. It's very large capacity, very doable, great for cold storage when you're going out to the grocery store. What's inside the bag is a smart power strip, which it's called smart because it actually has a brain. So it's able to control other devices that are connected to it, and also gives you the option of having devices that you need to have on, for instance, your modem for a Wi-Fi connection, your cable box, your DVR. But what we recommend that you have in the brain is something that uses quite a lot of energy, which would be a flat screen television, something that actually draws a lot. A lamp will not draw enough to actually control the other devices. So what this smart power strip does is it actually tells the other devices, hey, I'm off. You can turn yourself off as well to help us save energy. Because one of the things we've realized over the course of doing the energy programs in the county is that, we've certainly progressed from addressing our lighting issues, looking at some of our energy behaviors, but that phantom energy loss, that loss when you have devices that are plugged in but they're not actually delivering something for you, that's a significant component. Almost 8 to 10% of our electric bill is phantom energy loss. As well, in the bag is a solar calculator, which on the back of it actually has messages. And I'm just going to reach over and grab that. On the back of it, it actually tells you about CFLs and how much you can save by switching to compact fluorescent lamps. It also recommends, of course, washing laundry in cold water and how much you can save, because we do use a lot of energy to heat water, whether you're doing laundry, whether it's warm or cold, or even to do the dishes, or, if you're we do showers. That's where my brain was going, showers. And then your water heater should be adjusted to 120 degrees. In the bag as well is a solar, hand-powered, if you would, LED flashlight, which is really cool because it has a wrist strap with it, and it's manual powered. So you're not using any batteries to actually keep this charged. It's really convenient to have in your car if you're going to the mailbox or you're going out with the dog for a walk. As well, our participants also receive a packet of information that includes University of Florida fact sheets about how they can address whole house system efficiency, your entire house envelope, as well as LED lighting and just general tips and strategies for improving your efficiency within your house.
Such great items to take home with you. The presentation themselves, what's the cost for that?
The presentations that we offer in the county are free. They're no charge. And one of the reasons why we're actually able to provide all these great things to our participants was that this project was initially funded through a Department of Energy grant that we got in 2010. So the grant has since expired, but I do still have supplies. So I offer these programs and I provide supplies while they last to our residents.
You have given us some incredible information and tips that we can do for at home, and you mentioned unplugging our small appliances and stuff. Is there one more quick tip we could do that would help right away?
Change filters. We're in that summer peak season, so people often forget change your filters in your air conditioning unit very regularly, because if your filters if they're dirty or they're clogged, they're making your system have to work harder, so it's not really energy efficient for you.
What do you recommend on timing on that? Every 3 months, every 6 months?
It depends on what you have at the house. I mean, sometimes if you're a smoker, you have a lot of pets, you have a lot of children, you might have asthma, allergy, respiratory type problems, maybe every month, especially during the summer since it's on as often as it is and it's working as hard as it has. And we've had a lot of rains this summer as well. So consider that as you look, because your house is not being ventilated as often. So I would say every month, every 2 months. It just depends on what your conditions are. And looking at your electric bill when you get it to see how much of a spike that has actually added to your electric bill, because you can see your kilowatt consumption increase February, March, and then that spike starts April, May, June, July.
Exactly. See, and I needed to know that because I was going like every 3-4 months. So now I know I need to change it more often.
Yeah.
That's good to know. What's another way that as individuals we can really get a handle on the costs associated with our individual energy consumption?
So we talked about that energy audit, if you would. And I'd say some of the little energy behaviors, like, you can go home today and take a look at, maybe have I looked at the light bulbs? Have I all switched them all out? And we don't recommend people just go home and just take that incandescent out. If it's still useful, wait until it burns out before you actually change it. Weather stripping really can make a big difference in your home because it can really weatherize your home overall. So looking at seals at windows and doors and caulking makes a big difference, electrical penetrations and things like that. So those are some simple tips that you can do. And one of the things we talk about in our energy program over the course of the hour is like a Saturday morning makeover. couple hours, the hardware store, $20 to $40 to buy a couple things, and here's what you can do.
I wanted to talk a little bit, too, about maybe some of the larger things that people can do for a little bit more of a long-term approach. Might be a little bit more expensive, but in the long run could start saving some monthly expenses for you. And that's the use of the programmable thermostats. I know I recently did that in my home and found it to be very, very helpful and amazing with what these new systems, the technology that is out there that can really help you identify your use and the difference, compares each month the usage, and it's just amazing that these things are out there now.
Right, and you can connect it to your smartphone, and you can check
Yes.
it and set it and all of that. So that's really one great idea, and we often recommend that to people who do not interact with their thermostat. So we like to say, if you do not interact with your thermostat, like you don't either set it up or set it down or go and even check and make an adjustment, then you do need a programmable thermostat, because you can easily say Monday to Friday, 5 p.m., this is what you want it to be, because you're coming home and you want it to be at a certain temperature. I'm gone all day. I want it to be at this temperature. So you can easily do that with your programmable thermostat. But some of the other long-term action, Jane, that we just started to talk about briefly would be like, so we do weatherize our windows as part of our Saturday morning makeover, and that might be we do that this month. But in the long run, you may want to begin evaluating replacing those windows and upgrading to more energy efficient windows. So you start building, if you would, a nest egg of how you're actually going to make those energy improvements and upgrades to your home. One of the other things that people are often concerned about is their roof as well. Mm-hmm. So that freshfromflorida.com website that I recommended through the Florida Energy Office does have that interactive web tool, and you can actually go on there and, like I said, look at the shape of your house, but also look at your roof, the angle, the tilt, and it gives you information and specifics about roofing options. So that's something to also think about in the long term. And then, of course, appliance upgrades. Appliances nowadays are a whole lot more energy efficient than they were 10 or 12 years ago. And looking for that Energy Star and Energy Guide label so that you're able to read those correctly. And we do cover that in our classes about what the appliance actually uses compared to others and how much that would save you over the course of a year.
Now, you mentioned earlier, you made a comment about the refrigerator in the garage. So you're suggesting perhaps people shouldn't upgrade the refrigerator and then take the old one and put it in the garage.
Right. Unless the garage is probably insulated and air conditioned. If it's not, then essentially what you've done is you certainly address the issue of your indoor refrigerator, but you've placed that older model, which is not as efficient as the one you've just upgraded to, into an environment where it has to work really hard because you're in a garage, which tends to be warmer, especially if there is no air being vented there. So now it's working harder to keep the things in the refrigerator cool.
What about attic insulation? Or is that recommended to look at doing that?
That's certainly something that somebody can have addressed through one of the home energy audits. I mean, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you can certainly go and check into those for yourself. But that's something that you can specify or address with your home energy audit. When the person comes and says, I'm concerned about insulation, would you take a look at this and tell me, if it's something I need to do? In the past, the companies were actually giving an incentive towards upgrading your insulation. So you would get $150. I'm not quite sure if that incentive or upgrade is still available with the electric provider.
Great.
What's the one thing that you think, Ramona, people probably overlook the most, but yet is a real user of the energy that we use every day?
I'd say one of that would be the phantom energy, but even simple things like showers. Like we often forget when we're in the shower how long we're showering for. And remember, you're heating water for that shower. So it goes hand in hand. And that's one of the things we cover in the workshops and symposiums. We do talk about it just a little bit in our energy classes, but the energy-water nexus, that connection, it takes energy to move water. It takes water to make energy. So we often forget that connection. So I would say those are probably the things that people really overlook. Unplugging your devices when you're not there because you're in a rush. Your phone is charged, your laptop is charged. You just disconnect it and you go and you forget about it.
what would the recommendation be on the frequency that one should do those energy audits? I know I had one done, but it was several years ago. And so it's probably time to do another one.
We do ask if people have done it in the past 2 to 3 years. So we're thinking within 3 years. I mean, your home changes in terms of the dynamics. You know, if you have 4 kids living at home and 2 go off to college, you certainly had a difference in energy consumption. But if you've also made upgrades along the way, then your energy audit, your envelope has now changed. Because before you might have had leaky windows, you've done some weatherizing through weather stripping, so now your windows are a little bit more efficient. Maybe within that 3-year time frame, you probably upgraded 2 or 3 of those windows. Maybe the ones that are facing, you know, the sun coming into your house more frequently, you've probably upgraded those. So now your envelope has changed. So it looks a little bit different. So I would say maybe 3 years would probably be apt for energy audits.
Oh, that's good.
And there's probably a lot of opportunities to pursue some of the rebates that are offered by the power company, aren't there? Do they still do those? Are you aware?
Well, there are some that they still do, but as they've changed, there has been a lot of flux within what they can and cannot do. But energy audits is something that you've typically been able to schedule online, so you don't actually need to call the company. You can schedule those online, and you can, when, like I said, a representative come, you can express what your concerns are, because then those are the areas you want your representative to focus in on. You know, you have insulation concerns. Should you consider upgrading insulation? Maybe your HVAC system is a little bit older. You know, how has that impacted your electric bill? Is it time to consider upgrading? And even looking at your SEER rating, which is something you see on it, your seasonal energy efficiency ratio, and that's upgraded. You know, just a baseline of a 13 or a 15 SEER unit can make a significant difference in how your system actually cools your house.
And Carmen, I'm sure that as you are talking to potential new homeowners, you are also providing them with some tips on things to look for as it relates to energy use in the home.
You know, actually, I do. And I tell them also that's why they need to get home inspections, and they need to do extensive physical inspections themselves and look at things. Are the windows old? I also tell them to look at the electrical systems in the house, because if they're old, maybe they need to be upgraded, and they need to consider that before they purchase.
Very good point. I recall purchasing a home and having the home inspection done, and it was brought to my attention that the air conditioning unit was pretty old and would likely need to be replaced within the next 1 to 2 years. And I was okay with that and was able to adequately budget for that eventual replacement. But that's, I think, one of the importance of having the home inspection and doing these audits are so important to really get a good look at what you're about to invest in.
Exactly.
And those are your largest expenses when you think about it. Your HVAC system, especially in the climate that we have here in Central Florida, your roof, and then your windows.
Exactly.
You know, doors maybe, but windows more important, because it depends on how many windows you have in your house as well, and how the house is oriented on your property lines and where you're getting the sun coming in.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what great information you have brought with you today. We really appreciate you being here and letting us know about the things that we can do to be mindful of our energy use and being more aware and actually taking some action to improve our energy consumption. We're all out of time, but I did want you to give the website one more time, if you would, on how people can get more information.
Okay, thank you, Jane. So you can go online and register for classes by visiting our website, PinellasCountyExtension.org, or you can email sustainability@PinellasCounty.org for class information and how you can actually be registered.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Ramona.
We appreciate having Ramona Madhosingh-Hector with Pinellas County Extension as our guest today, and we appreciate all of you who are tuning in to listen to us on WRXB 1590 AM and, of course, Pinellas County Connection TV. We look forward to having you joining us again next month. And remember, if you missed any part of this show or would like to review past shows, check out the website or YouTube. I'm Jane Merlin.
And I'm Carmen Lemberg.
Thanks for tuning in. Make it a great day.